Hey guys, I'm Strauss, and my engaged learning project was on open web utility and balancing innovation with responsibility, mainly talking about artificial intelligence. So the interviewee chose to stay anonymous, and the company that he also works at will stay anonymous. It was a small startup a few years ago, but they developed a few different types of AI crawlers that would just go over the open web and screen for different pieces of information that were vital for, say, major corporations like Google or, I don't know, Google, for example, or like Walmart, pretty huge corporation, that's one of their clients. And so they would go and create profiles of individuals that could pose like a threat to them. And they worked a lot with counterintelligence against Chinese and Russian sources as well. So tap into a little bit of the global context there. Um, One thing that he mentioned a lot and talked about a lot was dealing with the ethical issue of finding the balance, because they have these crawlers that would obviously go over the open web, so there wouldn't be any like ethical hacking or unethical hacking done to dig deeper, like through people's accounts or invasion of privacy in that way. It's just things that people have put out there already are out there permanently. So one thing he really wanted to emphasize and say, if you can share like one thing with everyone, then make sure you emphasize that anything you put on the internet or social media is there forever. And there's almost no exception. If you have a device that's connected to a cloud and you upload a piece of information about yourself, about someone else, it's going to be there forever. You delete it, you think it's deleted, go to your recently deleted and delete it from there, it's not gone forever. So historically, information was limited physically. Obviously, we had like newspapers, journals, and things that you had to go and physically get, or go to a library or an archive. And we're pretty limited by that, but obviously with the advent of the internet and the current within the last like 5 or 6 years of artificial intelligence and data mining, it's become really easy for people to gather information about pretty much anyone you wanted. And on a mass scale, data collection became super easy through applications or accounts that people make on social media. For example, TikTok, Temu, there's people who use those knowingly that it is putting their information out there, and that Chinese government specifically will take that information and sell it to other places. And so there are other applications like that that have been shut down previously, but people still know that and knowingly use it, which I think it's fine. It's up to them obviously to do what they want with the information. But with so many things being put out there, constantly developed by hundreds of thousands of people and put out on the internet, it's almost impossible to regulate these things. Oops. So on a global scale, if we look at the EU, the GDPR is just basically a law that they implemented in 2018 that says, hey, anybody within this EU area or whatever falls under the EEA has to comply by these laws of, oh, you have a certain limit of how far you can go to collect somebody's data on the open web. And so in China, they focus more on surveillance and state control over personal privacy for individuals, and that has been reflected in their applications that they have made public across the global scale as well. And so the US currently, we have no unified privacy law. There's no federal law, just like the GDPR that they have in the EU. But they vary state by state. For example, California has a CCB, I believe, and that is a regulation for how any company or any individual can go across the open web and gather information. Yeah, so out of this project and while interviewing and writing that paper, I realized a lot of things and came to learn a lot of things. I feel that I personally have become more aware of what I'm putting out on the internet. I've always been like cautious. I don't post much on social media, and I'm not saying that social media is bad and putting things out there and sharing things about yourself is bad either, but I think it's important to be very aware. My main advice and takeaway from this is to be aware of what information you're putting out there, because it's always going to be available to someone, and as long as you're aware of that, you should Be pretty sad for life.